Greetings. My name is Marilyn Orellana, and I will be speaking about the TED Talk speech by Stella Young. I'm not your inspiration. Thank you very much. The world worries about disability more than disabled people do, by Warwick Davis. I decided to use this quote to relate to the speech of Stella Young because throughout the speech, Stella Young, in my understanding, she feels offended as a disabled person with how the media and people that are not disabled describe people that have a disability and how they could sort of pity them. Throughout the speech, she states disabled people are not objects of inspiration. And with this statement, she relates that statement that she describes as inspiration porn. They objectify one group of people for the benefit of another group of people. So in this speech, she speaks about how her group of people, which are disabled people, are being objectified from the other group of people, people that are not disabled, for the benefit of their own, which would be inspiration, and how it could be worse if you were a disabled person. And as she states, well, what if you were a disabled person? How could that be worse? So she then provides quotes. Your excuse is invalid. And these quotes have pictures of disabled people along with the quotes. Your excuse is invalid. The only disability in life is a bad attitude. Before you quit, try. So I understand how this could be offensive, how the media portrays disabled people as. And it opened my mind in how even myself, most of the public can be very oblivious with how we speak about disabled people without considering the fact if it could be offensive, or if we're just treating them as if they're useless, just for inspiration. So I do believe Stella Young she made some really good points. She says, she lives a normal life. She doesn't need to be pitied, or, she doesn't care like if she's like an inspiration to someone, basically. And I really enjoyed listening to her speech. It was very informative, very, very, very informative and understanding from her perspective how everything is. So with this speech, I decided to use the theory dramatism again. I love this theory. I think it has been my favorite theory of the entire semester because it relates to so much real life situations, in my opinion. And I feel like it's so easy to understand. I hope I'm understanding it the right way. So, use of public speaking in signs is a sign of dramatism. It is by Kenneth Burke. So, as he states, human life is as drama, actors on a stage. In this case, Stella Young would be the actor on stage, giving her speech. Acts of play will reveal the motives of the humans. So, her act of play would be, doing this TED Talk, doing this speech to an audience who are not disabled like her. So then she reveals her motives. And as Burke said, drama is very grand. And this theory allows people to express ourselves. Stella Young really expresses herself here. She's speaking from, a perspective of a disabled person, how she sees she's being viewed as in the world and how it can be offensive. She's expressing her feelings towards this and how it's negative towards her group of people. In this theory, when we engaged in public speaking, we're engaged in drama. So Stella Young is engaging in this public speaking of TED Talk. She's automatically engaging in drama. Her language is the most important symbol. And there's a statement of the theory, human beings are choice makers, challenge the status quo. In my perspective with this statement, I do feel like she is challenging the audience, the world, people who are not disabled. And the substance of the series related to our demographics, background, and facts about us. Her background, it's mainly about her speaking how she's a disabled person. That's a fact about her. And then that's what her speech is about. And her expressing herself is about her background, which is her being disabled. So division is a part of this theory as well. When we see people as the other, as being different from you, then we have a division. So there's clearly a division in her speech with the group of disabled people and people who are not disabled. So what divides these two groups? The disabled people, well, she's speaking from her disabled group. She's offended. She feels like herself and her group are being objectified by the other group, used for inspiration, being pitied, in my understanding. And she's giving a speech that could identify her common values and beliefs. So her values are, she wants to be valued as a person, not because of her disability. And her beliefs is how it is not right to treat a disabled person as just inspiration, as if people, if I'm relating back to the quotes she provided, your excuse is invalid. For example, the quote she used. I feel like these are quotes for people that are not disabled. It's kind of like, hey, if this person that's disabled was able to do this and that, you have no excuse because a disabled person did it. So it is kind of, I would say, like down looking in a disabled person. Guilt and traumatism is a reason that people speak now. Guilt is really encompasses all negative emotions such as tension, embarrassment, fear. There are negative emotions in this speech, clearly, with Stella Young. How offensive it is, how they feel objectified. I don't think there's fear. I do think there is tension. In my opinion, there's no embarrassment either. At least not from Stella Young. She seems very confident. In the hierarchy in this dramatism theory, powerless feels negative, access to the language to express feelings. Now, I don't want to say that disabled people are powerless. That is not, I don't think that's accurate in this speech. But there is a group of people that feel negative, which is disabled people. And Stella Young is expressing her feelings. And with the hierarchy, it says the powerful might feel stressed out because they don't know how to communicate to broad audiences. I don't want to label the people that are not disabled as powerful, but I would say they are the group that might feel stressed out because they don't know how to communicate with disabled people, which would be the audience. I say that because I'm trying to explain this. Okay, so I do feel with disabled people, it is okay. So the group that of people that are not disabled, they are very careful with what they say to disabled people, and as Stella Young mentioned that in the speech as well, how she had a lady, I believe, told her she was inspirational, and Stella Young didn't like it or something like that, and so I felt like that lady didn't really know how to speak to Stella Young. So the group of people that are not disabled, I do feel like they don't really know how to communicate with disabled people, which may stress that group out. For example, the quotes that she provided, they're not the correct way to communicate to disabled people, and which is why Stella Young is doing this speech, because we're not communicating well with disabled people. If anything, we're offending them, and we're completely oblivious to it, the media, the public. So the negative in this theory is the idea of rejecting our place in social order, no matter what we want to reject, being at the bottom or top. The disabled people are definitely in the negative. They are rejecting their place in social order, which I don't see anything wrong with that. I believe they, of course, they deserve equal treatment, of course, and that is very important. So the redemption and dramatism, rejection of guilt, an offended party, the public system, justice system, or higher power. And in this case, it's an offended party, which will be disabled people. They are offended with how the media portrays them, with how the media uses them as inspiration for the other group, for their own benefit, which are people that are not disabled. So pentad and dramatism is the act, reason of speaker speaking, which would be Stella Young speaking because she feels as if disabled people are being treated as an object for the inspiration porn. They're objectifying one group of people for the benefit of another group of people. The agency is speech making, which is her doing the speech with, the TED talk. The scene where the TED talk stage, and why. To really, why? Why is she doing this speech? Why is significant? To make aware of her group of people that are being offended, that are being treated unequally by the other group of people, how she's being objectified. She wants to bring awareness of, because as I mentioned before, the other group we've been oblivious, most of us, with how they are treated, with how they feel, with how we portray them. And that is her goal. The purpose or motivation of the speech is her purpose. She is speaking for all of her group of disabled people. That's her motivation, for them to be treated equally, for them to not be offended by the media, to not treat them like their inspiration when they have a normal life. They are normal, just like any other person. And I really enjoyed listening to this speech because, like I mentioned before, I never really thought about how disabled people are treated or portrayed in the media, in the world. And this really opened my mind, and I realized how oblivious I was. I enjoyed listening to her speech. It actually makes me understand, like what's right, what's not wrong as being someone not from the same group. And I also really enjoyed the dramatism theory. I would have to say, like I said earlier, it's probably one of my favorite theories. Very simple, easy to relate to real life situations. And I think even the professor said it was a complicated theory. I'm not sure. He said at the end of the lecture, but I don't really think it was complicated. I hope it wasn't. I hope I like explained it well because I understand the theory in one way, and I don't know if I'm doing a good job in relating it to a speech, but I do think it relates to it. And I just want to say thank you for the time of the semester for listening to this. I really enjoy this class, and thank you so much.